Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty, and this episode I have the Layout a Day Challenge process video for day 2, which was actually yesterday. The Layout a Day Challenge is hosted by the Scrap Happy membership group. You can register for the challenge independently, or if you become a member, it's included in your membership. The registration for this month is closed, but keep in mind that we do this several times throughout the year, and our next one will actually be a 1-week challenge in the summertime. So if you're interested in this, you can stay tuned for the summer registration. Every time we do a load challenge, we have a theme for the month. Now, we're not scrapbooking about that theme, but instead we're using that theme to inform stories that we can tell in our lives. And then each day we will have a story prompt and a technique prompt, and you can use one, both, or neither. That's the nice thing about this challenge, is that you don't have to use the prompts. They are just there to help you if you're feeling stuck. So let's go ahead and dive into today, or rather yesterday's challenge. So the prompt for today was, how do you bring the outdoors in for the story? And the technique was to include some palm leaves and wood on your layout. So I had recently purchased this collection, a random assortment of papers, and they just so happened to fit today's theme. So that was a fun, unplanned event. And I also have this collection of digital print and cut files from Tracy Reed, and I will leave a link for that particular collection below in case you're interested in that product. And they have a lot of floral and love elements to them, so I'm going to use these for a lot of my embellishing. And I think the colors work okay with the collection of papers that I have for the day. So I'm just kind of organizing all of these in these little boxes, and I will have a video for you, quick video for you at some point this month on how I made all of those little boxes. So you can stay tuned for that if you are interested. Now, because today's prompt was bringing the outdoors in, I printed all of these photos of bouquets that I have created over the year. Whenever the flowers start blooming in my yard, I'm always inclined to bring them inside because looking at them through a window isn't enough. So I've got these files printed down on a Polaroid style mat. And this is a file that I created for Photoshop Elements, and if you're interested, I have a tutorial on how to use that, and also the download of this file is available on my blog. So I am trying to decide how I want to mat all these photos, and I really like that yellow floral print, but it's a little bit too rich for these photos, so I toned down the color and go with this kind of leafy print instead. And I will use the yellow as the background for the layout instead. And so I'm just kind of laying these up in a little bit of a grid, and I'm going to make kind of an offset asymmetrical design layout here, and I'm going to trim this mat down. I'm looking for a second mat for my photos, and I'm eliminating paper choices as I go, and I think I want to use that yellow, but like I said, I end up using that as the main background. So I'm going to use this plaid instead because I thought that left a very nice border around the edge. So I'm just trimming out a little bit of that paper to be the mat so I can use the rest of it to set aside for another project. Because it is brand new paper, I do want to make the most of it, and so I am gutting this layer of the mat, and that's why I like this style of paper trimmer, because I typically like to gut pieces when I want to stretch my supplies. And so I'm going to add the adhesive around that cutout opening, and then I can evenly mat my layer there. And you'll see what I do with that leftover piece in a little while. So I trim off the border strip for my background, and I am very happy with the layers that I've got going on. So next up, I'm going to fussy cut these palm leaf elements out. Now, these palm leaves don't exactly go with the style of this layout, but I'm going to use that prompt and go with it. So sometimes that's the goofy nature of the load challenge. Now, I could have ignored that prompt, but why not? Why not? I mean, it's only paper. This is not life and death here, so even though they don't fit, I'm going to use them. So I am building my title here, and I'm struggling with these letters a little bit, so I pull out my T-square so that I can get them as straight as I want them to be with a straight grid of photos. I want my title to be as straight as possible. Now I am going to replace some of the letters in my tile with floral elements, and that's just a fun little add-on to the theme of this. And I do start tucking some of those palm leaves back there. And my letters are wood grain, so that does get that prompt in. Now the O letter in the word bouquet, I'm going to turn into a vase. So I just kind of draw a rough shape of a vase, and my drawing skills aren't perfect, but it works okay. And I erase any pencil marks. I add a little bit of ink to the edge to give it a little more pop and definition. I am going to pop it up on some foam dots as well, so that gives it a little more dimension to it. And that will complete my title, and I will go back a little bit later and add flowers to that vase as a bouquet. Now I do number my photos because one of the things I like to do when I have kind of random photos is to give them numbers and kind of write a little bit of details about each one. Now all these photos are they're all tied together in the same theme, but I'm going to say a little bit about each different photo. You can see me building up my little bouquet coming out of that vase here, and I am trying to tuck those very bold green leaves and hide them a little bit better behind everything else. They do stand out a little bit more than I wanted them to, but like I said, so what? It's my page, it's my, it's my book, I can do what I want, right? I don't have to follow any great design rules. So I add a few little embellishments to the gap between my title letters, and I add some up, a little cluster up in the top right corner, and I am going to end up building kind of 3 clusters of embellishments. Now I look at those numbers and I look at the pattern paper that I have left, and the paper that I use that vase for, I could include more of that paper on my layout, and since it's striped, it's perfect for journaling. So I cut apart the stripes so that I have 5 stripes left over, and that will go perfectly with my 5 points of journaling. And I pull out another alpha set, and I forgot I had this wood grain old October afternoon alpha, and that works perfectly with the larger, thicker wood grain alpha. So that was a happy accident as well. Lots of luck on today's page. And so I go about journaling a little bit. Okay, with my journaling done, I decided that I needed some words to kind of tie everything together. So I created that little piece that talks about bringing the outdoors inside and how it makes me happy. And I'm going to add that to the top of my journaling. It needs a little more emphasis though. And so I decided to pull out more of these pieces from these die cuts and give it a little bit more dimension and emphasis. And I add this kind of arrow-shaped die cut piece, and because I had trimmed it too short, I add a scrap piece behind it, and that makes it longer. And so that gives me all of the length I need to wrap that piece around my little journaling spot there. I add some tags and banners behind it. I did cut them off a little bit to make the length go how I want it to be, and then I decide I'm going to use those little scrap bits a little bit later. I add some more floral bouquets around there. I do go back later and cut out some more greenery to add into those bouquets, but I didn't film that part. Now those little leftover tags I am going to add around my photo. So just a tiny pop of that color, a little bit of texture, and that pulls in the journaling with the photos. So that will finish off my layout for this time. I will leave you with a couple of close-ups, and I will be back tomorrow with another process video for day 3 of load. So my layouts will always be a day behind the actual date of the month because I'm just not a superwoman and I can't get it all done in one day. So I will see you tomorrow. I do hope you will join me again, and I hope you enjoy this month-long process of a layout a day.